El Negro. There is an enigmatic, ancient culture that existed in Mexico. What makes them so mysterious is what they look like. Now, there is such a carving in Mexico known as El Negro. So details about this will be revealed as I go on. I have the feeling what we know about this ancient civilization will, year after year, reveal more facts about itself. But that's only if Mexico stays on track and continues to develop. The world will be fascinated with Native American culture. For too long, knowledge of the peoples of ancient Mexico has been hindered for a variety of reasons. There's been wars. Mexico gained its independence from Spain. Mexico has had a multitude of empires and they all have fallen. There's been grave robbers. There's been fragmented phases of the state of Mexico, etc. All of this has set Mexico back. The good news is now Mexico is in a position to have its own professionals study and unearth more secrets encapsulated in the thick jungles. Because Mexico is finally starting to become prosperous. Of course, many questions will remain unanswered. A colonial version of history has been told for so long. It has been the primary foundation for what we know about the past. But these foundations weren't built atop a solid rock. In other words, they were built on lies, and lies don't withstand the test of time. If the story always changes, then the basis for that story is shaky. The truth doesn't change. It don't need to. And I also have to mention that colonialism is not the only reason why we know so little about Mexico's ancient cultures. Let's get the elephant in the room out the way first. Were they black? The Olmecs. Or what we consider today to be Africanoid. Truthfully, Mexicans do share things phenotypically with blacks. Some of us have flat noses and big lips. Some of us also are so dark-skinned that it's comparable to the people that are considered black. Many of the heads do appear to be black men, but they also still do appear phenotypically like Native Americans. The problem is there is one statue, right, that is so undeniably a depiction of a black man that it really challenges conventional historical records. From what I've read, 17 heads have been discovered. In San Lorenzo, there's about 10, and in La Venta, there's 4. These are cities in the modern Mexican states of Veracruz and Tabasco. They were carved from basalt rock and somehow transported 100 kilometers. Possibly using log rollers is what they claim. The size of these heads are massive, ranging roughly 4 to 11 feet tall, and their circumferences range from 9 to 14 feet wide. The weight varies from 6 to around 25 tons. These people are said to be Mesoamerica's first civilization. They were a model for the Mayans, the Aztecs, and likely the Toltecs. Some say that these heads depict great rulers, or that the heads were regularly moved for ritualistic purposes. They are also said to represent ancestors. The heads were likely more vibrant in their heyday. This is believed due to the evidence of traces of paint found on the heads themselves. These heads would have been decorated, which would be testament to their revered status amongst the people of the time. A corrupted translation for Olmec may be equivalent to the rubber people, or perhaps people of the rubber country. They do resemble black men. Interestingly, these people weren't carving images of themselves with much facial hair, if at all. The Egyptians did not depict themselves with much facial hair either, mainly a beard, and the English used to wear wigs. Well, it is said that the Egyptians used to wear beards, right, for ritualistic purposes. So let's continue. For me to draw a correlation by pointing to this fact doesn't mean that these two cultures were connected, but it also doesn't mean that they couldn't have been directly connected either. Another similarity is that both peoples, the Egyptians and the Olmecs, used hieroglyphic symbols as a writing system.
Of the Olmec culture, dating to the first centuries before and after Christ, has also been an important topic on the evolution of writing in Mesoamerica. I talk about this subject in a video on Mesoamerica's earliest calendar texts.
The Olmecs were America's most influential early civilization. During their heyday, they built stelas, thrones, earthen mounds, aqueducts, and pyramids. They too were master ceramic craftsmen. They are said to be the mother culture. What's disappointing is that there officially is no direct accounts of what the Olmecs believed. Despite this mystique, there is clues, and they did depict from what appears to be deities or gods in their art. I'll go through a few. They depicted the maize deity, or they had one, the rain spirit, or were jaguar, which is interesting, right? Today we have popular stories of wolfmen or werewolves, or skinwalkers. Let's continue. The fish or the shark monster, dragon, and, like the Aztecs, plumed serpent. Another interesting thing to point out is that none of their most iconic pieces of art, the colossal heads, are the same. Meaning that these carved heads had a significant role in Olmec culture. Make no mistake, the contributions the Olmecs gave to Mesoamerica were gigantic. But they practice human sacrifice. And as horrific as it is, there is credible evidence they practice child sacrifices as part of rituals conducted by the elites. It may have been their belief that this would bring a good harvest, or they could have done this for fertility reasons. They may have required human sacrifice for their ball games as well. They also practiced ritualistic bloodletting. Now, the evidence that I read that they had for not only human sacrifice, but child sacrifice is that they found piles of bones buried. Bones that indicated that there was human sacrifice. Now, what I didn't read is what kind of markings that they found on these bones. But I imagine they probably had markings like to indicate or to show that these bones were worked, to put it bluntly. Now, the Olmec civilization is dated to have thrived 3,000 years ago and declined around 400 BC. They had a calendar, and theirs was 260 days, 13 numbers, and 20 named days. Let's circle back to El Negro, because so much can be theorized by this particular stonework. Was this carving a hoax? Or better yet, who has verified the authenticity of this Olmec work of art? How could Africans have made it over the Atlantic if officially only Europeans were said to have made this journey and eventually were able to transport Africans as slaves to the New World? The statue is undeniably a black man. Perhaps the Moors were also traversing the Atlantic regularly before the Europeans at that time would have known about these lands. The bottom line is, it's such a joke the way the winners wrote the history books. It's obvious due to substantial amounts of evidence that people were exploring the whole world in the ancient past. Now things happen, empires rise, empires fall. And the knowledge that they may have possessed about peoples somewhere else that they used to trade with may have they probably weren't worried about these things when their empires are falling. There are stories of Mayans and Egyptians being connected. Are the Olmecs linked to the Egyptians or other past cultures outside of the Americas? Well, to shed some light on this, I will show y'all photos of Mayan stonework next to Egyptian stonework and next to Olmec stonework. And I'll let y'all witness the uncanny semblance of these three cultures. Here's some clips that support the claims of Mayan and Egyptians being directly connected. Now, it's up to you whether or not you want to use this particular clip that I sourced as evidence, but I mean, there's just so much outside of just this one clip. There's so much evidence.
Who was married to a Mexican lady named Myra. She was of Mayan blood. I was back in that same chamber just before talking about Sautet. She kind of grabbed and said, "Stephen, come here, I have to show you something." "What?" She said, "This is a Mayan headdress. Sure, this is not native Commission. Yep. It's quetzal feathers. It looks like here's the priest. He's having himself disguised as a Mayan. So maybe there was a contact. And we know the other one goes back at least 3,300 years. So this is some more evidence we believe that there was contact between the Mayans and the Commissions. And when I sent this thing that I spoke about and showed to Hunbat's men,
would be, he said, he would show us evidence of a Mayan temple in Egypt.
Mayan as in culture.
Exactly. And I said, this I never heard of. No, there's not in any text. No one has ever mentioned. Okay. We came here. This was arranged differently then. A lot of this is new construction. It was not this way in 1997. First of all, I looked on the wall. Behind you, you see that is Maya. But it looks typically Commission. Right. And I'm looking around, typically Commission. All look. So Hakim would use the expression, well, you know, Stephen went in Rome to do as the Romans do. He's living in Kemet. He's going to pass in Kemet, so he's betraying himself. He's a Commission. So I said, well, Papa, this is great, but I can't go with this in front of an academic audience. They'll laugh me off the stage. There's nothing here to identify with the culture we're talking about. But then there was a keeper, like this gentleman here, was here, didn't speak any English, but saw that I was perplexed. He said, come here. This then was boarded up with just a wooden door. and it was latches there. He threw away the wooden slabs, opened the door, and he said, "Look up." And that is the key. Took a picture in 1997, sent it to Mayan gatekeeper Hung Bas Men. He said he recognizes this as the language of the Itzal people, who is Chichen Itza. He said it's an ancient language. But a lot of people are not sure about Hung Bas Men. So we went one step further. In 2010, I got to meet Don Alejandro Sul Ojdaj. He is the wisdom keeper, the head of the Quinche Maya of all of Guatemala. I showed him this picture, and his eyes went as big as saucers. And he said to me, that is the language of my ancestors. That is a calendar. That is telling the date of when Maya was here. And how we can read it, he can't even still read it, but he knows that the circles and squares and different colors, arrangements, and the spokes in the wheel are indications of a date. So, this has never been discussed by any Egyptologist. They cannot put this in a Commission context. There is nothing, or maybe there is other that Yosef has seen, but there's nothing like this in the rest of Egypt. So, Mayan elders recognize this as part of their culture. So now the key is Maya. The word is a title. Men and women had the title. Very interesting because we've talked about the difference between Egyptian, Arabic, and other Arabic. In Egypt, one of the key words for water is Maya. It is not pronounced the same way in any other Arabic country. If you went to Saudi Arabia, they would say Ma or Meh. Only in Egypt is it pronounced Maya. And it means water. So I asked Hakim, could the title Maya actually have meant he who came from across the water, or ones who came from across the water? He said, yeah. So here is what we call diffusionism archaeology, diffusionism anthropology, saying that there had to be cultural contact between these individuals thousands of miles across the sea. And this is the evidence that Hakim told us that there was a Mayan living in Egypt 3,300 years ago. Let somebody else define that for me and tell me that that is Commission or Egyptian or dynastic or anything else.
Some exploring. All right, beautiful. I actually saw this in the other Olmec museum. These pieces right here. These exactly. Same type of style, everything. Check out that. We're here for a particular piece, so let's get to that point. Let's see if I can find it. Check out this one, guys. Wow, and in the pictures, I'm telling you, it looks so small, but this thing is huge, man. This is what I came for. This is what I've been looking for, basically, guys. So let me give you a look and tell me what it looks like. Honest opinion, guys. Tell me, we're in Mexico, and I found this piece here. Tell me what it looks like, or where it's from, okay? I won't say anything, but tell me what it looks like. Wow. That's huge, right here. Nice piece. Okay. Permiso, ¿por qué la gente dice negro? Why do they call it negro? This is the name of the piece, is called negro.
Pues prácticamente por sus rasgos negroides, ¿no? Que tiene su labio grueso, pómulos así prominentes, ¿no? La forma también así del cabello.
Right.
Así es.
Wow. So basically he's saying because of its features, ¿y sabe cuánto tiempo, cuándo la gente encontró eso?
Bueno, yo la verdad desconozco, prácticamente esa es la información que prácticamente ya conoce lo que es el encargado aquí.
Sí, pero hay mucha información. So basically, what this is basically saying, why they call it Negro, and it was found in the Tres Zapotes area. Basically, a lot of the Olmec stuff was found there, but we have a Mexican saying it's called that because of its facial features. All right. We also have another Olmec head here. All right. Check this one out. Wow. Amazing. The ones here are a lot better than the ones I saw in the other museum. It feels like way more complete. Look at this. The other one, some of them had dents on the top and everything, but this one gives you a full picture of how it's supposed to look. All right? I'm gonna leave this here. I can't read this in Spanish. I'll try to translate it for you guys. And yeah, man, this is the most complete head I've seen. This size, right? Look at it. All right. Wow, man, are you kidding me? Oh man, in Mexico, guys, it's crazy, y'all. Look at that. Wow. This one gives you a clear image. And for those who are like, oh, this one doesn't have, everything has a flat head. No, not every one of them has a flat head, okay? And this one actually has what appears to be feathers. Some people have come here and said they're like cornrows. Go figure if you feel that way, but there are depictions of how this looks in other statues with the same type of symbolism in the right here. But if it's cornrows, maybe comment down below if you think they're cornrows or if it's feathers, okay? But wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Look at this guy's profile right here, man. Come on. I'm glad I came out here, boy. You literally have to travel to some remote places to see the best stuff. And yeah, I'm doing some research, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta look how far. This is not in the main city. They have Olmec heads. I think they have one Olmec head in Mexico City. You gotta go like far. And I get it too. This is will bring tourism for the town. But yeah, man, this is why it's important to do your research, man. That's crazy, bro.
And lastly, empires rise and empires fall. There's no exception, even up until today. And so the knowledge that one culture or civilization may have possessed in regards to peoples of other far off strange lands may have been erased. In some way, they may have forgotten this information, is what I'm saying. But there's been migrations throughout human history all over the world at different times by different empires for different reasons, or probably the same reason. It was happening, and it was erased, or they did their best, the powerful, to cover this up. And I believe that the reason that they did this was because they were coming into an age of colonialism. And it's because of this belief is what it was, and the power of a belief. If they told a group of people that you are supposed to spread Christianity to these heathen lands, right? The power in that belief is that you're willing to put your life on the line for that. The power of such a belief is that you're willing to look the other way when other people are being oppressed, or able to justify something like slavery by flipping through the scriptures and perverting them to justify slavery. They needed a foundation, and it was a lie. And that foundation favored one skin color of people over everybody else. And they've tried to hold on to this. And it's only up until today that it's beginning, this foundation is collapsing. And it's good in one way, and it could be really horrific in another. We're going to see what the future unfolds, right? But this is one of the reasons that I believe that they covered up or try to erase Native American history, because they couldn't have built the system and got to where they were at today without lying.